The road to deconstructing the Christian faith often starts with a scene much like this. You're reading the Bible one morning, mainly because you know you're supposed to, and the words, they're not hidden. In fact, they're off-putting for some reason, and your mind goes from critiquing an awkward passage to suddenly, and I mean suddenly, you're questioning if this whole thing is just one big fairy tale. And then, as your religious cocoon starts to crack over your morning devotional, the terrifying idea creeps into your mind. Is Christianity kind of absurd? Now, this kind of deconstruction is emotional. It's not academic, and I hear you. I get it. I empathize. But as someone who has flirted with that line of thought, wrestled with it for years, can I make a bold new statement? And I'm sure this isn't going to make me a lot of new friends, but let me say it anyway. Atheism is kind of absurd. And if you're struggling to find the heart of your faith again, if you have a friend, and I mean this respectfully, whose feelings are leading them away from the Bible, please share this video with them, because I'm giving you my personal top 3 reasons to deconstruct atheism. And again, since emotions brought us to this uncomfortable place, let's use emotional arguments to get us back home. Number 3, turns out science and faith are homies. The staunch atheist will make the emotional plea saying, well, of course ancient man thought there was a God. I mean, they look into the night sky and they see these unreachable bright lights flickering in the dark abyss and say, well, surely there must be gods up there. But let me ask you this. Now, with modern astronomy, we know that those stars in the night sky number not 2 million or 2 billion, but 2 trillion stars. What, really? Oh, so apparently there are 2 trillion galaxies. To put it another way, there are 8 billion people on Earth. So for every single person on Earth, somewhere in the universe, there are 25,000,000,000,000,000 stars, aka each and every single guy or gal out there gets 25 quadrillion stars. Now, when we ponder that unimaginable cosmic reality, it is way more ridiculous and way more overwhelming than when our ancestors looked up at the night sky. Search your soul. You know deep down the heavens declare the glory of God. And only within the past century or so has the prevailing scientific concept of an eternal, always existing universe been totally upended. In other words, only we've recently found, contrary to almost every held scientific view, the universe began. Time, space, matter began in a moment. And whatever created time, space, and matter had to, by definition, be outside of time, space, and matter. Can you think of anything like that? This is where science and faith give each other a high five. Science says the universe exploded into existence from basically something the size of my fist here into a seemingly cosmic infinity of over 200 billion trillion stars. You know what that sounds exactly like? Only with modern astronomy is science catching up with what Moses reported thousands of years ago. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Number 2, stop with the fairy tale nonsense. Now, we've done a lot of videos about this, and if you like biblical archaeology, this channel is for you. But let me summarize in this scripture rapid fire. Thanks to the Tell Dan Steely, we can say with certainty that King David was a real person. Thanks to the Dead Sea Scrolls, we can say with certainty that the books of the Old Testament haven't changed in 2,000 years. Thanks to the Pilate stone, we can say with certainty that the person who ordered the execution of Jesus, Pontius Pilate, was who the gospel said he was. Thanks to the clay seals found in the city of David, we know with certainty that, for example, Hezekiah was a historic king of Judah. Thanks to modern archaeological digs in Jerusalem, we know where the Pool of Bethesda is. Thanks to the Mernafta Stele, a monument built by an enemy nation, by the way, we know with certainty that Israel was in the Promised Land at least 3,200 years ago. I could go on for hours. The people in the Bible were very real. The places in the Bible are scientifically legitimate. Even the minute details describing the way things happen in the Bible are being validated constantly. As my buddy Zev Ornstein, the director of international affairs at the City of David, famously says, it's not simply a matter of faith, but a matter of fact. Number 1, Jesus is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Now, whenever doubts creep into my idle thoughts, I simply ponder the global impact of this obscure Jewish carpenter from the backwater town of Nazareth. Now, I love in Acts chapter 5 when Peter and the apostles were on trial, and a Pharisee leader got up in front of the Sanhedrin and was like, listen, leave these men alone, let them go. For if their purpose or activity is of human origin, it will fail. But if it is from God, you will not be able to stop these men. You will only find yourselves fighting against God. Unlike Islam, for example, which sprang onto the world scene by sword and bloody conquest, for 300 years after the death of Jesus, it was illegal to be a Christian. Followers of the way got nothing out of choosing Jesus except persecution, ostracization, and frequently death. Jesus himself was mocked and ridiculed by his executioners. He was betrayed and abandoned by his friends. He died the most excruciating, torturous death imaginable. He died with no heir, no army, no possessions, nothing at all, actually. And yet today, the whole world measures time by who? Nothing explains the preposterous reality of Jesus quite like this poem from James Allen Francis. 20 centuries have come and gone, and today he is the central figure of the human race and the leader of mankind's progress. All the armies that have ever marched, all the navies that have ever sailed, all the parliaments that have ever sat, all the kings that have ever reigned, put together, have not affected the life of man on earth as much as that one solitary life. Jesus is the anomaly of planet Earth. Jesus is the enigma of all creation, if you will. Jesus is the Neo freeing humanity of the Matrix. The world rotates and pulses around the life of this one man. Why? Because the Son is the radiance of God's glory and the exact representation of his being, sustaining all things by his powerful word. And then the craziest part? He loves you. He loves you so much he laid down his life for you, for me. So I'm going to end this with the prodigal son, but let's replace he with you. Quote, while you were still a long way off, your father saw you and was filled with compassion for you. He ran to you, threw his arms around you and kissed you. And you said to him, Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.